He like started taking pictures of me without my permission, and I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Happy New Year! It is my first video of the year 2022, which is simply a sentence that I just never thought that I would say. But it is a brand new year, and I am still the same depressed bitch.
Can I get your name and where you're from, if you don't mind?
I'm Kai.
Kai, can I get spelling for you?
Straight out of Dogtown, K-A-I.
Hola Chula, thank you so much for clicking on to this video, and if you are new here, well then hi, hello. My name is Kai, and here on my channel I share my experience, leaving the Jehovah's Witness organization and how that has affected my life several years after the fact. And just what are we going to be talking about today? Well, today I actually thought that it would be nice to do something a little bit more chill. I'm going to tell you guys a story today. Basically, I just want to tell you guys the journey of me getting into the adult industry. I'm not telling this story in any way to trauma dump or anything, and actually I should probably put a trigger warning on this video. I'm going to be talking about some adult things and adult situations. Before we get into this, please do not forget to like this video, and also I would love it if you considered subscribing to this channel for more content just like this. And this story takes place, between the years of 2015 to just very recently, so I was 18 to just barely 24. Just to sort of set the stage for you guys, I was starting my freshman year of college. I had just barely graduated high school, and I was just barely leaving the organization. So I was just having a lot of change all at once, and those are obviously very formative years of your life when you're just stepping into young adulthood and trying to figure out life and all the responsibilities that come with that. And of course, one of the biggest stressors for students, for young people, for everyone is money. And how do you get more money, and you never seem to have enough. I was not making any money at this time. I was living totally off of my student loans and my grants and stuff, and I was really pressed about when my next check was gonna come in. I didn't know if I was gonna get approved for financial aid for the following semester, so I was very stressed. I think something that you guys should know about me, or that maybe or maybe not important to the story, I've always been very open with my sexuality. I've always been very aware of my sexuality, and I don't know, maybe I just didn't see it at the same regard as a lot of my peers did. I think I'm even sort of in the middle of this story trying to defend myself. Because it's just so ingrained into society that workers are wrong or immoral people somehow, or less than, because it's purely because of the work that they do. Anyway, maybe I did, maybe I didn't go and actually try to figure out how someone acquires a sugar daddy, okay? How is such an arrangement even, how does that even happen? Met this guy, and he was within a couple of days, I want you to come meet me. He wasn't old. He was maybe in his 30s. Definitely no older than early 40s. I drove up to his house. He lived in the city, so I had to drive 45 minutes in the winter time to go to this person's house that I never met before. And it was really the way that I didn't even tell anyone where I was going. Just drove myself there without any protection, without any common sense. Looking back on it now, I feel it is single-handedly one of the stupidest things that I've ever done in my whole life. Don't get me wrong, I was definitely scared. I had never done that before. It's sort of a gray area of adult work that, I don't know, is sort of okay, even though it's basically the same thing. You know what I mean? I guess the only thing that I can say for myself that I did do was that I gave him a fake name. I didn't tell him like who I really was or like what my deal really was. So like I get there and my experience was much different than I thought it was going to be. And I was obviously like, I left his house in one piece and with some money in my hands. The thing that, you know, kind of caught me off guard was before I was like getting dressed and about to like leave, he told me to take a shower. And I was like, oh yeah, no worries. I totally will. Like when I get, back to my house, I have a shower at my house. He was like, no, you're gonna shower here. I didn't think anything of it other than like that's like a little high maintenance. I don't know how I feel about that. And when I was in the bathroom taking a shower, I left my bag and with my wallet with, for whatever reason, my social security card. I left, went about my way, and a couple of days go by and I was like not really sure how I felt about the situation, so I was dodging his texts, I was not answering his calls, and he got like really frustrated with me. He was like, answer me, like, oh my god, why aren't you answering me? And finally, he sent me a picture of my social security card and my driver's license and was like threatening me, telling me that he like knew who I really was, that he could come after my family, that he could make it very difficult for me unless, I did what he said. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel like I could tell my family. Well, I couldn't tell my family, but I didn't feel like I could tell my friends either because I was sort of very ashamed of it. Like, wanted to keep it very private. Like, I didn't really do anything. I guess it was the address on my driver's license, that's an old ass address. Nobody that I care about lives there anymore. Sure, steal my identity. Here's my college loan debt. Take it. It's yours. I guess I had decided that I was gonna start over, so I went back just to looking for somebody else. I'm not necessarily co-signing this behavior, but I can't lie. I met many different people that I just simply would have never met otherwise. But I never had someone be really consistent. I was meeting lots of people all the time, but I just never had someone who really stayed in my life. And I was kind of going about this way for a while, a couple of months, and I was using this money obviously to support myself, but because the way that it was working out for me with everyone, I just didn't have any consistent income. Sometimes I had a lot of money and sometimes I had no money at all, and it was really difficult to maintain that. It just wasn't stable. It just was not a stable situation at all. It was in a place in my life, I feel where I was kind of dealing with that, my financial stress and just trying to get myself through school and what am I doing with my life, and oh my god, I think I just left a cult and I don't know how the world works, so I'm just freaking out all the time, always internally, and that feeling has never gone away. Where I was very vulnerable and I was easily suggestible. So I went to a coffee shop one night and I was just doing my own things, doing my work, as you do in college. And this guy came up to my table and he started talking to me, and oh my god, he was older and he was attractive and we have things in common. And then he started talking to me about Jesus, and I was like, you know what, well, when you put it that way, so I started going to church with him. Just having a belief system, I feel was something I was so comfortable with, so used to at that point, so it was very easy for me just to sort of mold my life into that. I started dating this person, and the closer that we got in our relationship and the deeper that I had feelings for this person, I wanted to be honest and I wanted to be upfront. So I eventually found my way out of doing the work that I was doing. I wanted to be, like I said, totally open with this person that I was pursuing a life with. I wanted to tell him about my past. I was worried that he was gonna start seeing me differently, or he had the totally opposite reaction that I would have expected him or anybody else to have. He was very fascinated by it, and in fact he was kind of turned on by it, and maybe he a little bit fetishized it, which is not okay. This is something that I had been working with elder women in the church, like trying to repent for my sins, like coming to them and saying like, how could I ever possibly be forgiven for this horrible wretch of a person that I used to be, right? It made me feel so gross that he would turn something like that into a fantasy. But it like totally was. So my boyfriend wanted to like just see me afterwards, basically. Like he just wanted to be with me after. I like invite a stranger to my house, and he's there for, you know, however the fuck long he was there. Right after he left, I heard a noise.
Oh my God, there's a bang at the door!
You know, there was a noise coming from my second bedroom. Like, no one else is supposed to be there, so I open the door, and who do I see but my boyfriend standing in my second bedroom. He had snuck into my apartment while this man was here at my house and was listening to everything through the second bedroom, through the wall. That's fucking weird. Like, that is so strange. So he like heard everything, right? And he got exactly what he asked for. You know, comes and sits with me on my bed and we're talking about it, and all of a sudden he like starts to like have second thoughts about it. Like he started to turn on me, you know, like, I can't believe that you would do this. Like, this is, you know, like, you've really like strayed so far away from God, and I don't know that I could ever be with someone who's like done these things. I was speechless because that was your idea, but I'm the one who strayed from God. He took this thing that he manifested himself and used it as like some sort of justification for why he could no longer be with me, because I'm, you know, tainted or I'm unclean. Like, and it hurt me deeply for a long time. I didn't realize that that's gaslighting, but that is gaslighting. And of course, that relationship did not last for very much longer. I was free to do whatever I wanted. I decided that I was going to see that man who came over to my house, and I saw him for like a whole summer. Like, pretty much just as I was getting comfortable and definitely starting to rely on that as like a supplemental source of income for myself, he texted me like all random out of the blue one day that he had like met somebody he was really like having deep feelings for, and he hasn't felt this way in so long, and he like just has to cut everything off. And I understand like totally completely, but it definitely left me like stranded. Like, I had no notice, no nothing, and that's like obviously one of the downsides of doing something like this and relying on that as your whole source of income. They have no real commitment to you. Like, they could just let you go whenever. I mean, I guess your real ass job could just let you go whenever too. Fuck, man. And by this time, like, I was right back in the same place that I was way before, like having lots of people that I'm meeting, but nobody consistent, always super stressed out about where my money's gonna come from. In that space, at least, you know, I can only speak for myself, but I was definitely more desperate. I think like the more desperate I was for money, the more willing I was to sort of like compromise my safety or myself for the sake of just getting paid or just making some sort of money. And I ended up meeting a man, much older than anybody else that I'd ever been with. He like wanted to take me out to dinner, and he wanted to show me to his business. Like he had his own store, his own shop. It was like a rug store, like those long, you know, very beautiful, you know, rugs with the funeral carpet design. You know what I'm talking about. I drove myself there, which thank God. He didn't have any parking. Like, it was just a storefront in one of those big city blocks. So I had to park my car like next to almost like where the entrance to the freeway was, so just like a little off street. You know, I get in there and go into his office. So we're like talking, and he's like giving me wine. I don't even think I was 21 years old at that point. I go and I do what I was there to do, and you know, I'm like, you know, not dressed, and he's like started taking pictures of me without my permission. And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I just, you know, this is no big deal. Like, I, you know, take pictures of, you know, my favorite girls. And I'm like, okay, thanks. And I like go to start getting dressed, and he's like, no, he's like, make yourself comfortable. He's like, I'm gonna go get you another drink, like you just stay there. And I like started looking around the store, and it like dawned on me, there was no like attractive like displays or anything, or like any walkways for like, you know, customers to come in and look at, you know, the different things that they have. It looked almost more like a storage area than a storefront, because like all of the rugs were just like stacked on top of each other, and there were bars over the windows that I guess I just wasn't paying attention, I don't know. Or he's like telling me like just to make myself comfortable, because he has some friends that are coming down to the store because they want to meet me. And we had never talked about that. He had never mentioned that to me before. I waited for him to go into the kitchen, like the little break room kitchen area that he had. At this point, like there was just too many red flags for me, so I grabbed my bag and I just ran down the street. I ran out of the store, down the street, back to my car, barefoot, and I drove home all the way barefoot, like just trying to get home as fast as I possibly could. I was aware that trafficking happened and that trafficking was real. You would never like think that something like that would ever happen to you, or at least, I don't know, I never did. Where I realized like I don't think that this is worth it to me anymore, to like be putting myself in danger just to make some money, when I had, at that point, I had evidence that if I wanted to do things differently, if I wanted to have a different life, then I knew I was capable of doing that. But I just continuously like came into this cycle. I think I was just really determined to not fail. Like I was gonna do whatever it took to fund my own way through this life. I just decided to start living more modestly, I guess. I was living in a whole apartment by myself. I decided to move to the city in one single bedroom and like, you know, supposed to be like student housing. And I hated my life because I had 5 roommates and they were all terrible. I was like a house cleaner for a long time, and eventually I decided that I would like try to get some kind of office job. And in a series of events that definitely warrant a whole video on their own, I ended up getting fired. And with good reason, like I don't blame them at all. But I was like out of a job and I didn't know what I was gonna do. So this guy that I was talking to back then was like, oh, you should like sell content online. And I was like, what? You mean to tell me what? Like people would what? Like really? For real? I just started like putting it out there, like on Tumblr back in the days when you could do things like that on Tumblr. Eventually like people just started like coming to me to buy content, and I was able to support myself that way for quite a long time. And then when OnlyFans like came into the picture, like it was just, you know, totally unlimited at that point. It hasn't been my sole income for quite a while now, but it was, you know, obviously enough money for me to have the motivation to do it for so long. I've been in this business since I was 18 years old, and I've noticed that over time it's sort of made me associate my self-worth with how much money I can make or how much money someone is willing to pay me. I definitely noticed myself like comparing myself to other creators, and maybe, I don't know, like sometimes I would feel like jealous, like that I felt like other people were doing better than I was when they weren't offering the same kind of content that I was. Like, I don't know, like it just wasn't cute. Like it just wasn't a good look at all to be feeling the way that I was feeling. After doing that for so long, like it has taken such a toll on my mental health, on my emotional health. Like I've been open about this like with my like subscribers and people that follow me, because they're paying me for content. Like of course I'm gonna be upfront with those people. Sometimes this is like more negative for me than it is positive. Do I get to express myself and like express my sexuality and like get paid to do that? Like yes, and I think that that is awesome, and I will always be happy that that's an experience I have. On the other end of it, it's like intruding into my interpersonal relationships and putting focus on things that are so like physical and so temporary in such a way that I've left other aspects of myself like underdeveloped for quite a while, because of course I'm going to manifest and nurture the things that are actively getting me money or actively bringing me income. And I think I'm just tired. Like, I'm just tired of that's the only thing that anybody in my life knows about me. That's my identity. When your survival is contingent upon your sexuality, then it's like hard to not be a sexual person, I feel like, at least in my experience. It's so difficult to like show people like I can do other things, like I am capable of doing other things. Like it's not always just that with me, but I definitely have felt like that's all people really want from me. And I think over time, like it gets to be this thing where it's like, well, maybe that's all I'm good at. Maybe that's all I'm good for. And so I think like you can sort of see like how that would start to drain someone over time, to constantly have that idea reinforced that if you look good, if you're working out, if you're in the best shape of your life, you're making lots of money, your follower count goes up, your likes are going up, like these are the things that make you valuable as a person. Taking a break from it, like I've felt very low, like I felt very depressed, because I think a lot of my like confidence is coming from an outsider's perspective, when really what needs to happen is that it needs to be coming from, you know, inside myself, and I need to be in love with myself for exactly the person that I am, and for no other reason. That I used to feel so much shame for the things that I had done, but ultimately, like, there were so many circumstances that were out of my control that led me to that place. I am incredibly privileged that I was able to get out of the situation, that I was able to do something else. That's not everyone's story, unfortunately. Like, it really speaks to why adult work needs to be decriminalized, why it needs to have some level of protection and regulation for the people that are doing these jobs, because this is real work. And I will always support workers on this channel and in my everyday life. I will always be a sex positive person, even if I don't always consider myself to be a worker. So that was just my story, just my thought, and just my opinion. If you like this video, then you can leave it a like, and if you like me, then you can subscribe to this channel, where I will be posting more content, talking about whatever I want, whenever I want, because this is my channel, and that's what we do here. So subscribe. And as always, Chulas, I hope that you had a wonderful, happy New Year. Do you have a New Year's resolution? If you have a New Year's resolution, I'm genuinely curious. My boyfriend is calling. How fun. And as always, I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing rest of your day. Bye, Chulas. Okay, I gotta go. So of course, yummy, yummy.